It's already been a year since our meeting in LA. An entire year since me and my buddies, all non-filmmakers, made a promise and a commitment to a major Hollywood film company that we could deliver to them a full feature documentary. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't stressed out. None of us have any experience creating films. None of us even know what direction we should be taking. And what makes matters even worse is that the clock is ticking. How the fuck did I get here?
Today we got our friends over from the Vision Board podcast, Tristan and Johnny, here with us.
A very special guest. He's a longtime friend of mine. He has a bachelor's degree in psychology, master's in leadership. He's the host of the Ungoogleable podcast. He's a good friend of mine, Johnny Sofko. What's up, buddy?
My man. What's up, Joey? Oh, man. Appreciate that intro, and thank you for inviting me on the Human Equation, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No.
As you just heard, I'm a coach, writer, and host. But more importantly, I love to tell stories. My personal story began in a small, rusted-out steel town in Northeast Ohio. As soon as I turned 18, I set out on a quest of traveling from state to state and country to country, trying to figure life out. More recently, my inquisition has led me to Australia on a mission to hunt down the most compelling stories while meeting some of the most interesting people. So, this is where the story begins, during an interview of mine with two-time best-selling author Mark Manson. The significance in the story doesn't necessarily lie within Mark himself, but more importantly, with the guy behind the camera recording the interview. A client of mine named Len, when he responded yes to a request of mine of me needing somebody to record this interview, it began to unfold a series of events starting here in Sydney, Australia, which led us all around the world.
Anyway, so that's how we met, and then we got through that video shoot, went for a beer, and then Johnny told me about this crazy sport been happening for thousands of years in Myanmar, which from a sport perspective, this is the most ridiculous, brutal sport I've ever heard of. And it turns out one of Johnny's mates happens to be the world champion in Lethwei.
Lethwei, an ancient martial art dating back 2,000 years from Burma, modern-day Myanmar. All of you fight fans out there know what Muay Thai is, the art of 8 limbs. Basically, hands, elbows, knees, and fists. Lethwei is the art of 9 limbs. All the aforementioned point strikes, but the headbutt is the 9th. What makes this sport even more unique and mysterious is the fact that you don't wear any gloves either. So it's basically, the translation is Burmese boxing. So you're fighting against a guy, neither one of you have gloves on, you're both allowed to use the headbutt. If you knock me out during the fight, my corner is allowed to have 2 minutes to resuscitate me. They call this the resuscitation rule. So unlike any other combat sport, boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, when you get knocked out, the fight's over, right? Not in Lethwei. If I get knocked out, if I get starched within the first few minutes of any round, my corner could come in and bring me back to life. It literally gives you a second chance at life again. Over the last 2,000 years of this ancient martial art, there's never been a Western world champion. Until now, a 27-year-old from Canada recently became the first ever Lethwei champ. He's referred to in Myanmar as the King of Lethwei, or the King of 9. The Canadian's fame skyrocketed when he became the first ever Westerner to raise the coveted Lethwei Golden Belt. He was then invited to have his marriage ceremony broadcasted live in front of 30 million people. And there's even rumors that the Myanmar government has plans of putting Dave on their country's currency. So Len and I are at the pub, we're a couple beers deep, and we have this aha moment. Let's make a documentary about Dave Leduc, and then let's fly to Hollywood to pitch to Sony and have them produce it. Embarking on an adventure is the single most exhilarating component of the human experience. Excitement mixed with nerves and the willingness to free fall into the unknown is the contrast between just living life and loving it. There's something magical that happens that you can't predict when all caution is thrown out and you allow your intuitive nature to guide you. This is true adventure. A blurred direction with the willingness to adapt. 15 straight hours from Sydney to California. Len and I finally land in Los Angeles. We gather our belongings, we gather our equipment, and we head straight to Hollywood. Straight to Sony Pictures to pitch to them, two non-filmmakers, our idea on documenting the first ever Lethwei event in the West. The very next day after the Sony pitch, we gather our makeshift film team up, my buddies, and we're headed off to Hermosa Beach, California to document the first ever Lethwei training seminar in the West. Today my special guest is the king of Lethwei, Dave Leduc. Dave, welcome to the show, my
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Good. So let's get this thing started. What are you doing in LA?
So actually, I'm pretty excited that we were able to make this happen. We're here doing a world tour. We're gonna do 23 cities in 12 countries in less than 2 months. So it's gonna be, we're in the middle of it right now, doing like many states, everywhere around the states, and teaching my Lethwei seminar.
The significance of this event is that finally there's a place in North America that the general population could learn this ancient martial art. Elbows, knees, kicks, and headbutts.
I cannot comprehend. We can actually not comprehend how powerful this movement is for the entire world, because this is going to change the world of striking sport, of martial arts. My goal is to see one day like guys coming into the MMA octagon and they have trained wrestling or BJJ, and you see their striking is Lethwei. Honored and very proud that Brian's Elite Training Center, which he built in Los Angeles, is now officially the first and ever Lethwei Training Center in the world. So it's going to always be recognized in history as that. You know, as Lethwei grows exponentially around the world, well, it all started in LA.
This is the Mecca.
Yeah.
Brian, could you share with us how you met Dave?
Sure. I'm big on pressure testing everything that we do. So it's important that whatever we teach is based in reality. And Lethwei is something that's obviously based in reality, based on the things and the tools that they use. Really want to give the best results to your students and you care about them. You find the best in the world to teach you that. And so I sought Dave out because of that, because he's the best in the world at what he does.
Guys, and if you needed any more proof or evidence about the buzz that Lethwei was causing, it started popping up on some of the biggest podcasts in North America, literally the same week that we landed.
Hey guys, Shane here. Welcome back to Humanities United Martial Arts Network. So,
Thanks for having me.
Lethwei champion, and for those who don't know Lethwei, I figured the best way to explain it to them is let's do a little true and false.
Lethwei, because we keep talking
Yes.
about it.
True. So Lethwei,
Headbutts, no gloves.
takedowns allowed. So suplex to the spine, on the head, elbows to the back of the head. They don't care.
Right.
Takedowns allowed.
After 10 days in Los Angeles, Len jumps on a plane and he flies straight to Myanmar to meet up with Dave to learn a little bit more about Dave and his relationship with Myanmar, plus to learn more about the culture.
After we did the LA trip, the next trip was tagging on the back of a holiday for me over Christmas, New Year, was a trip to Myanmar to actually meet up with Dave and Arena and get a view and get welcoming into their version of Myanmar. To say that we were blown away by the people of Myanmar, the sport, the dedication, the support for even Dave, that's not even taking things like Ong Lasang into account.
What's up, guys? In this episode, I sit down with Ong Lasang. Ong La is the double champ fighting out of one championship. He holds the belts at middleweight and light heavyweight. He sits down and shares with me the importance it is for him being a positive role model for his native country of Myanmar.
I'm here because I assume that when he gets off a plane, you can't move. I'm assuming there's just traffic stops for that boy, but for Dave, it's not far off. It's not far off the same sort of thing. We couldn't go many places without being swamped. So what Dave has done for Myanmar and the sport in general as well, and bringing that Western influence into Myanmar has been phenomenal. So definitely don't want to knock any of that at all. So, and we got to see some of the great parts of Yangon. Myself and my missus went out on a bicycle ride, went into one of the villages, and all the little kids are running out and high-fiving us and all sorts of things. Just as soon as you get across the water out of Yangon, the place just opens up and you start to see the real part of the country, and it's phenomenal.
So I land back in Australia. Len messages me. He's already in Myanmar, and he tells me a couple different things. He says that we have an opportunity to fly to Cyprus in a few months to meet up with Dave and document the first ever ancient martial art training seminar online. If you're waiting for the right time to start something, you're going to waste away. There is no right time. There is no right place. These two things don't exist. And that's the secret. That's the beauty in the unknown. Being able to remove the handcuffs and blissfully jump into the space that doesn't exist yet, and only exists once you take the leap.
We're all here?
All of us are here now. Now we go to Cyprus.
Yeah, adventure begins.
Another interesting point, though, in the next few months is the historical element of the first ever event. This is where I get excited, because first ever event in the West.
My next fight is going to be in July 2020 in USA. It's going to be the first time in Myanmar Lethwei history. It's going to be a Lethwei event in North America. I don't think people at home realize how exciting that is. There's some drawings in the Bagan Pagoda of two guys doing headbutts, and this drawing is about 2,000 years old. Myanmar traditional boxing is around that age, right? It's very old. To have it being reproduced and being represented outside of Myanmar all the way to North America is very exciting for me.
The craziest thing about this story, guys, we must remember, is that when Dave fights in July in America, it's not going to be the first time that an ancient martial art was taken from the East and brought to the West and forever changed the landscape of modern martial arts and combat sports. Bruce Lee did it in the 1960s with Jeet Kune Do. Hoist Gracie did it almost 30 years later with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And come July, Dave Leduc has the opportunity to impact and forever leave his mark on the world of combat and the West. So we gather our team up and we take the short flight from Doha to Cyprus. After a bit of misadventure, a few wrong turns here, a few wrong turns there, we finally made it. We finally tracked down Dave.
Leduc. Hey, brother. We gotta. What's
The purpose of this spot of the trip was to create videos and film Lethwei Online Training Academy to become the first place for people all over the world to be able to learn Lethwei online. So a couple of things we had to do. We had to make 2 different trips to upholstery shops around Cyprus. We had to hunt down fabric shops. Basically, we had to become architects of studio design by hand using duct tape, upholstery, wall mounts. After hours and hours of in and out and shaping, we finally got it to a point where we felt we could create that high quality and premium studio style video.
Oh, this looks good, man.
Once we position the 3, so. Alright, we're not doing fucking.
Len just wanted to wrestle with Dave. That's how they do it. What's up, guys? Lethwei Tuesdays here.
Alright, how's that on camera?
I see one.
Oh, yeah.
There's water in the sandwich.
See you in the morning.
See you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Sleep well.
Much better.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah. Well done.
You have to fully
I don't like to. See,
This is pretty nice.
Nice.
Yeah, holy fuck.
As day 1 ends and day 2 begins, the team and I set out on our quest to strategize.
What do we think the size of the market is for Lethwei?
Yeah.
So we want that. We want to have
Globally.
that one. Yeah, globally, not just because obviously it's going to impact how much of an impact
That comes back to
Leduc
Myanmar.
Lethwei is going to have on. So that way it brings back this economic uplift and growth.
Comes back
for
to Myanmar,
and
for
the
sure.
orphanages and things like that. So there is the understanding of what is the size of the market, who is the demographic, and then there's the style of the training videos and how it's then going to maximize that.
So the opportunity for sure is to get the message across, though, with that online platform, the message of Lethwei globally to the people, to attract them either through word of mouth, through tourism, back to Myanmar to see where this birthplace, this mecca of this ancient martial art comes from.
Yeah.
Let's think about something for a minute. The close proximity between Thailand and Myanmar doesn't end at their neighboring border towns. And it's not out of the question to think that Lethwei wouldn't have the same economical impact on Myanmar, similar to Muay Thai's impact on Thailand.
To Myanmar.
It all comes back to Myanmar. As we begin to get settled into Cyprus, our main focus was still directly in front of us. We needed to create that structure and gather the content for our commitment to Sony, and we needed to stay on track. So, after a few days of filming for the online academy, Joey finally lands in Cyprus to help us out on the combat side of things. Leduc needed a sparring partner and pad holder to catch some of the kicks, elbows, knees, and headbutts, and Joey was our guy.
For a headbutt, and he's coming forward because I'm doing this, so that happens, a beautiful clash of skulls. All right, so, you see,
The team and I clearly set out with intentions of capturing the videos for the Lethwei Online Training Academy, but we also had the opportunity to pick the brain of the first ever Westerner Lethwei World Champion in this sport that's been around for over 1,000 years. This thing's heavy, it's like 25 kilos. Your boy, world champion in it, Lethwei. So he's actually defending that. Coming up, hopefully, we get the news that it's going to be in America, which would make it historic. We not only got to pick the brain and learn about Dave himself, but we also got to learn about the culture of the sport of Lethwei and its traditions attached to it. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Tanaka. This is an ancient Myanmar ritual. The people in the villages of Myanmar are the only ones throughout the world who actually use this. It's good for skin. You see it appear in hand facial lotions, pastes, as well as the children do it, the women do it.
In Lethwei, you can see sometimes after the fight, the guys are all like banged up from the fight, and they put that on their scrapes, on the cuts. It's antibacterial and it helps to heal the wound.
It's another great example of Myanmar's rich history that's interconnected with its famed national sport. Bareknuckle Burmese boxing tradition. So pretty much if you see fighters with that tattoo, you know that they've done their job. So it's an old school tradition. Quinn.
and then shows the tats, the toquin, shows your traditional toquin, so you know who's a fighter, who's ready to go to battle.
The lɛʌ is a traditional Burmese boxing gesture to challenge one's opponent with pride, respect, and bravery. It's another great example of Myanmar's rich history that's interconnected with its famed national sport.
Next time you see me, you can challenge me with the lɛʌ.
Sometimes in life, the story that plays out ends up being the farthest thing from what's originally planned. As children, we're taught to believe in our dreams and to stretch out our imaginations as wide as we could see. But as we grow, life tells us to narrow those dreams, and our childlike imaginations are tossed out the window. I call bullshit. I think everyone who grows up is still that same child inside. They just sometimes forget to dare or to be childlike.
It's chaos.
An ending doesn't have to have the words happy or sad attached to it. We hold the pen. We write the script. Sometimes in life,
Where are we?
the ending is simply the beginning.
breaking developments in the coronavirus pandemic.
There have now been over 10 million reported cases of coronavirus worldwide, and more than 500,000 people worldwide have lost their lives.
Police clearing iconic Bourbon Street last night after an order went out to clear the area. Drastic measures taken as cases spiked to roughly 3,000 in the U.S.
The fight in July was canceled, as was the rest of the world. Our goal of covering the first ever Lethwei event in the West has been shelved for the foreseeable future. Everything has been pretty much put on pause. Our goal of being in the locker room and documenting this historical sporting event is no more. Our goal of delivering a piece of history to a major Hollywood film company is no more. But as history shows, time and time again, we humans are resilient. We adapt. We push forward. We move on. We often find ourselves in situations that force us to reflect, that force us to ponder our individual existence. Whether good or bad, the question is always the same. How the fuck did I get here? Here's the story. So we're in LA. Definitely not the ending that we wanted, but I can guarantee you this. The team and I are more motivated now than we've ever been on our quest to hunt down other stories about human firsts. All we have to do now is find them.
Don't you think?
Welcome to Leduc Tuesday. Train your fucking neck.
You're like kidnapped by a bunch of gangsters and they put a gun to your head and they're like, you have to run a marathon.
Take me home tonight. Who's gonna be the angel that fell through the power line?